Since my childhood, it was difficult, so I developed a low self-esteem. And because of that, I struggled my whole life with all these issues, and I started to be actually a pleaser and a perfectionist. So my whole life, I did that. And I put so much pressure on myself, and I was working always very hard and everything. So in the end, I collapsed, and then my 7 years of difficult time started. And in those 7 years, I was searching to find answers what was going on with me because I was really, really depressed and I wanted to end my life even. So I was always looking for answers. And I went to many therapists and they all gave me this diagnosis, another one and another one, and nothing helped. So I just realized that I have done my whole life what everybody told me to. And I started from that moment on to listen to myself, what I wanted. Then just clicked.
Welcome to Linda's Corner, where we bring more hope, healing, and happiness to the world. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about a roadmap to a happier life. I'm delighted to welcome Maggie Maris. Maggie is an author, life coach, and the founder of Maggie's Way. You can reach Maggie at her website, and I'll include a link in the show notes. Welcome, Maggie. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
Thank you, Linda. I'm so honored to be in your show.
Thank you. And I am so excited about this conversation. And as I have been reading through your information and thinking about this conversation, I've been excited to be able to share and to be able to talk. Now, you are this wonderful, accomplished woman. You are strong and you have this wealth of experience and wisdom. And that came from overcoming obstacles. So would you be willing to start by sharing your story?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I saw that on your website, overcomer, and I really like that. And I am actually an overcomer. Great word. Yes, so I had my share of obstacles in my life. And where would you like me to start? In the beginning, or the 7 years of really hard time? Where shall I start?
Wow, what an excellent question. And it is tricky to kind of take your whole story and to be able to
Right.
shrink it into something that's kind of bite-sized. So some of the things that I am aware of is your struggle with ADHD, manic depression, major depressive order, some of the childhood trauma of being bullied by your brothers, some
Mhm.
of these kinds of things. And then I thought it was fascinating that you went to India to try to heal and to
Right.
try to just have this deep inner healing. And instead, it ended up being more of a traumatic event. And you ended up moving and then moving again until you were able to find things really kind of your own solution. So, is it okay if I've given sort of a skeleton? Can you fill in some of those details?
Yes, of course. Yeah, since my childhood, it was difficult in school, so I developed a low self-esteem. And because of that, I struggled my whole life with all these issues, and I started to be actually a pleaser and a perfectionist. So my whole life, I did that. And I put so much pressure on myself, and I was working always very hard and everything. So in the end, I collapsed, and then my 7 years of difficult time started. And in those 7 years, I was searching to find answers what was going on with me because I was really, really depressed and I wanted to end my life even. So I was always looking for answers, and I went to many therapists, and they all gave me this diagnosis, another one and another one. And eventually nothing helped. So because I always ask, what's wrong with me? And I didn't understand either. So then somebody said, why don't you try to get off the medication? And I said, well, I haven't tried that one yet. And I'm very unhappy every day. So for me, this is not working. And eventually I ended up in India, and I tried also there many things. And it was a horrific ride also there. And then I think it was like a month. I was in the middle of a therapy session and I just got very angry because I was wrapped in stuff and it's not really important what was the treatment, but what's more important that I was gotten so angry and I just started to scream. And I started to scream and I ran to my room and I called my husband and I said, I don't want this anymore. I want to do it my way. And I was really crying. And from that moment on, I just realized that I have done my whole life what everybody told me to. And I started from that moment on to listen to myself, what I wanted. Then just clicked. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
And
and then and then a week later, I had another amazing thing, and I just walked towards the beach, and I had my wake up moment, as I always call it, and I literally woke up like I saw all the beautiful flowers and I smelled the sea and I looked at the sea and everything was so beautiful. And it was like an awakening, a transformation all in one moment. And it was so cool. And from that moment on, I just knew, oh my God, this was what needed to happen. And yeah, that's what my transformation started. And when I came home, I was just so lucky and grateful to be alive and to have been overcome this whole journey. And then it actually started to into finding my way, and I was researching and I was looking for answers. What happened to me all these years? And because I was studying and researching and reading so much about it, everything became clear that apparently the thing is, the key is inside. I needed to know the answers and I asked a lot of questions. So the self discovery started there. And I healed myself and I cried a lot and I knew what was going on. And I just became so happy eventually. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? And so, yeah, my daughter said, I always talk to my daughter. I said, well, maybe this is a good idea. And she said, Mom, I'm not ready. Why don't you write it down? And I read it whenever I'm ready, when I'm a bit older. So yeah, and actually that's how the book got into this world. I wrote it down and I just thought about the difficulties in our life, because many people are struggling these days. And I thought I have to do something because since I was a little girl, I always wanted to help. And I thought, okay, since so many people are struggling, what can I do to actually help them? And then I thought, well, if I if I create a book and if I ask them all questions, they will write their own story because I knew then that the key is inside, right? So that's actually how I started with my journal to help, yeah, to get it also accessible for many people because not many people can afford a coach and they can do it at home. And yeah, I use a loving tone of voice, so I help them and I motivate them and I explain also about the basic rules that are necessary to really get there. And you also have it on your website a lot, if we don't talk about being the victim and all very basic and simple things, but they need to know, right? So yeah, that's it's important thing. So eventually they write their own story, and I always say you can make yourself happy and once you have became aware of who you are and why you do things, and I'd walk them through the book, and it's just great and it's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, I am so proud of you. And as I'm listening
Ah,
to your story, I can just see the movie on the screen and I can see you in that therapy session and feeling so frustrated and angry and just having this moment of, I'm so tired of doing what other people say. But
yes,
there's
right,
got to be another way, something that matches for me. And this beautiful transformation from being in a place of, I wish I was dead, to,
right,
I am so grateful to be alive. And
right,
that transformation that goes from that extreme to the other is possible for, I think, everyone, at least
right.
most of us, depending on how we got there in the first place. But I'm so proud of you for making that change. and for overcoming those obstacles and for wanting to pay it forward and help other people because you
Right.
recognize other people are
Yeah.
struggling too. And I love how you said, you know what? You and I are on the same team. The principles are the same because they're true. But isn't it marvelous that we have different voices that are speaking? And that way, there might be someone who just, gosh, when Maggie speaks, it resonates with me. Or
Right.
when Linda speaks, it resonates with me. Or maybe I need to hear it twice because we have to have sometimes that second witness. So super well done. Now, if it's okay, I would like to add just a little bit more. When I was reading through, one of the things that kind of struck me personally was when you mentioned you're feeling so discouraged and so depressed, and yet you're aware of the good things that are in your life. And you even said, am I spoiled? What is wrong with me?
Yeah.
And I know how that feels and how that, when it's like, hmm, we almost judge each other's traumas. It's like, well, have you gone through enough that you deserve to be depressed? And I even had someone say about me, oh, she doesn't deserve to be depressed because she hasn't been through X, Y, and Z. And I thought, what an odd thing to say. First of all, this person actually has no idea what I was
Yeah.
going through. And second of all, it was almost like it was a badge of honor. Like, well, I deserve to be depressed because I have gone through this and this and this. And it was kind of an odd situation. So just recognizing, guys, we don't have to justify where we're at. And we don't have to, we're allowed to feel our feelings.
Right.
Don't have to stay in that nasty place.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because what was so interesting that I really didn't understand because I had my perfect life. And that is so, I had my perfect life. I had a perfect husband, perfect house, everything was perfect. And now when I look back, it's so cool to see so clearly what I was doing that whole time. I was looking for confirmation from other people. So I didn't even do what other people told me to do. I also was always looking for approval. Do I look okay? What do you think? And now I see it so clearly. And I know now, of course, that I have to give the confirmation to myself. And that's the essence of being grateful and living your life truly and feeling happy and free, right?
Oh.
And yeah, I think that's really cool to experience that you can make yourself happy and then set yourself free. And I am the one who is in charge of my life and nobody else. So
And that's so empowering, isn't it? And I
right, yeah,
love that you brought up, I lived a perfect life. And whether it was perfect or whether it looked perfect on the outside, it is not our outside circumstances that determine our happiness. As you
right,
mentioned, it comes from the inside.
right.
And
Isn't that weird?
that is, I know it's kind of weird because it doesn't
Yeah,
seem logical. We all assume, no, when I have this much money in my bank account, or when I look like this, or when I wear this dress size, all of a sudden all my problems will go away and everything will be perfect. And the reality is, we take ourselves with us everywhere we go. And this is where the happiness or the sadness
right.
really, this is where it
Mm.
really is.
And I believe many people are struggling now and they all want to, be perfect and have the perfect life. What I was having at that time, and I was very miserable. And now I am happy. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to write it all down now. So other people who are looking for answers within them, that if they do my book and if they complete it from start to finish, they will find happiness because the key is inside and they can do it themselves. And that is so cool and powerful.
Yes.
And even, yeah, and I've seen the results, and they even called it my journal magic. Oh, yeah, I'm going to order this book for my friend because she needs some my journal magic. And that's really so cool to hear that I'm really, helping. changing, doing what I can.
That is so beautiful. And isn't it
Yeah.
wonderful to have that witness to say this works, not because
Yes.
I'm special, but because
No.
the principles are true and it will
Yeah.
work for you too. And I
Right.
love that it is a journal, that it
Right.
gives people, it's not only your story, but it gives people a chance to become aware and to share their own story.
Yeah, I think the book is not even about me at all. I don't even write anything about me in it. The book is completely for them. And so it's their, they write their manual, they write their story. I just take them through it and answer, they have to answer their questions. I'll show you the book. Maybe, yeah, people cannot see it, of course, but they are writing it. Yeah, the journal, they write themselves. So it's actually a self help book and a journal in one. So that makes it even stronger because, when you write it down, everything becomes true. So, yeah, it's very, very, very nice. I'm really proud of it that it turned out so nicely.
I'm so glad. It is nice to create something and then look at it and say, it is good.
Yeah,
I created
it's
something good. There's some deeply satisfying experience in recognizing that. So,
right.
congratulations. That's
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you. And you are doing also so much nice work and in your nonprofit organization. It's so impressive. So I'm really glad that I can be in your podcast with this, my journal. Will be
Thank
so,
you.
so kind of you. Thank
I
you.
love that we have so many people on the same team. And as I
Right.
listen to you and your desires, I share those same desires. I
Yeah.
recognize that not everyone has a lot of money, and not everyone can have access to some of the resources that are that work but are expensive. And I
Right.
would like healing to be accessible to everyone.
Everybody. Yes, that's what I want. And that's
And
when they can afford the book. That's what's so great about it. Yeah.
yeah, isn't that nice?
Yeah, I
I can
know.
do this. I can do
Yeah,
this.
I can do this. Yeah, I can afford this and I can change my life. If you're miserable, if they want to, if they're open to it, they can really, really do it.
Ooh, let's talk about that for a minute. To
Yeah.
be open to it. Was there ever a time in your life where you were not open to that change?
I think I can tell you my whole life I was not open. I did not believe this. And when I came back, I experienced this beautiful awakening thing. And even then, I wasn't open completely. And I think it was one coach, and I really, in the beginning, I didn't believe him. And eventually I did. And now I'm so grateful that I'm open. So, my first part of my journal is all about the growth mindset, to be open, that you can change. Did you know you can change? Are you willing to look at yourself and use your growth mindset to improve yourself? And yeah, and that's all you need to start something, to start a change, right? To be open.
Right. To
That's
be
where it all
open.
starts. Yeah. And
I
to be
agree.
aware, of course.
Yes. And that seems like it almost seems like when you're miserable, especially if there's someone watching on the outside, you think, man, they're so miserable. Of course they want to be happier. Of course they want things to be different. And yet, somehow inside, we have to make that little switch that says, I am open to change. I
Yeah.
am able to change. And
Right.
that makes a big difference because we cannot heal without our consent. No
Right.
one can do it for us.
No,
Maggie cannot reach out and save anyone unless
no.
they're willing to
Willing.
become.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's all about yeah, it's all questions. So the questions are actually also in the first part. Are you willing? Are you open? Do you want to? Did you know you can? So, and I believe it happens in a blink, wow, I had no idea. I wasn't open. I was very close, and now I just love it. I think of possibilities, and I always use the Pippi Langkous. She's always saying, "I've never tried it. I've never done it, but I'm gonna try it anyway." So yeah, that's so exciting to think like that. Yeah,
That is. And it changes the whole world. Like that beautiful scene that you described walking on the beach, where all of a sudden It was like your eyes were open for the first time.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
The
Right.
world is beautiful.
Beautiful.
And
Right.
when we
Yeah.
start to open, and it really is opening our eyes, opening our minds,
Literally. Yes.
we see the beauty that's around us. And I know from being in a place of depression, I couldn't see any beauty. I was like, there is no beauty. That was where I was. There isn't any.
Anything.
And
Nothing. No.
and then when we can open our eyes just a little bit, I didn't have that awesome day at the beach like you did, but even if you can open just a little bit and think, maybe, just maybe things could get better, maybe, just maybe
Yeah.
I could change. But it requires that opening.
Right. Yeah. I never gave up searching, though. I remember so hard. I tried everything, all therapists and everything. Yeah. I remember that very clearly. Not give up. Just keep on searching and somewhere it is. And I can say now, if you're not in a good place, really, I would recommend my book, because it will give you an how you say that, an opportunity to change your life, really.
Ooh, I like that. It is. It's an opportunity. And
Yeah.
I like to extend invitations. I know perfectly well that I can't save anyone. I know perfectly well that I can't reach out and fix anyone. But
Right.
boy, I can invite. I can
Right.
invite and I can show and say, hey, you're not alone. I've been there. I know what it feels like. And you can change and it's going to be okay, or it can be okay.
Right. Okay, may I ask, how long have you been depressed and what was the cause?
Oh, excellent question. So, into
Mhm.
my story. So, I struggled with depression for 5 years, Boop. And it was set on by situational. I had so many traumas that I could not handle them anymore. And it was like I fell into a deep pit of despair, and there were no windows, and there were no doors, and there was no way out. And I thought, this is as good as it gets forever. And
Yeah.
I was miserable. I was beyond sad. I was beyond empty. I was miserable, where I longed for death daily.
Yeah.
Please, anything to stop this misery. And then, but I was really good at masking. Almost no one knew because, you got to hold up those appearances. And
Yeah.
I had a sister who was training to become a life coach, and she was preparing this women's retreat. And she said, hey, do you want to come? We're going to talk about how to be happy and be fulfilled. And we'll have 3 days and 3 nights. We'll all be together, this group of women. And I thought, heck no,
Hell no.
no, I do not want
No
that.
way.
I was struggling with social anxiety. I couldn't handle being with other people. And besides, I was stuck in a deep, dark pit with no doors and no windows. There was no way out. There was nothing she was going to say that was going to make any difference. But then, even though I didn't want to, the idea wouldn't leave my mind. And I went. And it was so much
Oh,
as
good
if
for you.
she put a ladder down into my deep, dark hole. And she
Mm.
showed me how to climb out. And that's my mission. I feel like I know there are people who feel trapped, who feel stuck, who are in deep, dark holes. But we can give them a ladder. We can show them how to come out. We can invite them. But the thing about a ladder is you have to actually do the climbing. There's no other way.
Right. You got to do the work, as I always say. Yeah. That's what they have to do themselves. Yeah, that's actually true.
Very much.
Wow, quite a story, Linda. Quite a
Thank you.
story as well. Yeah.
But when all is said and done, it is because we have overcome hard things that we are able to pay it forward and help other people who feel stuck and who feel trapped. And so,
Yeah.
although I was not appreciative of it at the time, now I consider it a blessing.
Right. Yeah. Now we can, right? Now we
Totally.
can. Yeah. I'm so lucky to have been, because I hear a lot of people who are still in a bad place, and I feel so fortunate that I made it out and that I
Yes,
feel so good now. And I'm able to help other people to get there by
exactly.
asking them questions and by, uh, yeah, by motivating them. You got this, you can do this. You got to do the work, but you got this. Yeah. And I'm really proud that this book is helping people. So, yeah,
Congratulations. That's lovely. Maggie,
thank
is
you.
there anything else you want to make sure that we cover before we close today?
Mm, um, I always talk about that we are 100% responsible for our own happiness. That's a big one. And I would like to share that it's my intention also in the book to live your life out of curiosity instead of fear.
Mm, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And once you start to do that, everything will look different. And I think that's very important for people. If they find their true self, and they will, if they write in the book, then they will shift into this new dimension of the world. They will shift and have different insights about themselves, but also about how to look at the world. And they will embrace beauty and perfection and see it also in the nature and in everything what is already there. So that's what I want for everybody.
And that's an important point. It is already there. We just
Yes,
need to
it
be able to
is.
find it. Well,
Yeah,
Maggie,
you just have
thank
to
you.
look. Yeah, you just have to look. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
This has been
Thank you,
delightful.
Linda. Thank you for having me on your show. And it was really nice that I could share and talk to you about my book with you. Thank you so
It
much.
was a pleasure for me as well. In closing, I'd like to share a quote by Anna Claudia Antunes. She said, "Life keeps throwing me stones, and I keep finding the diamonds." Today, I invite our listeners to find the diamonds in the stones of life's challenges. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for listening. Please share and subscribe to help us reach new listeners. And if you'd like to heal your life from the inside out, there is a free video series at hopeforhealingfoundation.org. Just click on the free stuff tab. I also invite you to grab a copy of one of my books, like Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, and You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. See you next time on Linda's Corner.